What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today is a nice and cold and rainy and dreary day here in New York, and I couldn't be happier that today's a rest day. And since today's a rest day, and I filmed a video on my new nutrition strategy on Saturday on my long bike ride, and never posted it. Now is probably the perfect time to just give you guys a quick breakdown of the new nutrition strategy that I was seeking to implement in my last training session, why I was doing that, and how it went. So the new strategy was this, and I'll speak about my old strategy right after explaining this. The new strategy was, for every half hour that I was on the bike, I would have a GU, which you guys know is just very typical endurance GU. The brand is actually GU Labs, and I take the Roctane edition, which has a little bit more amino acids and whatnot, better for endurance sport. So one GU every 30 minutes, and every hour I would finish a bottle of my raw nutrition fuel supplement. So in total, my goal was to hit 400 calories per hour while I was on the bike. The reason for this was, in my previous biking sessions, the previous few weekends where I was doing 4 hours on the bike, obviously since then it increased, I was feeling like I was really taxing myself and putting myself through more calorie expenditure than my body was taking in. And so for the rest of the day, I was basically completely exhausted and not really able to do too much. And this is also in part due to the fact that I've been pushing it a little bit harder. I've been adding more elevation to these long rides, and basically riding at a generally higher heart rate. So this is my attempt to improve my nutrition strategy, which prior was a GU every 40 minutes and then the same liquid strategy of a bottle an hour. So I did this, and basically this is why you test things out in training. Having that many GU packets did not sit well with my stomach, and I stuck to the strategy. I did it for the whole 4.5 hours, hit around 84 miles on the bike, followed it up with a quick run, and that was the workout. But I definitely did not feel that good in my gut, and had to take a little bit of time after the run before I was able to eat again. All things considered, I would much rather have a slightly disturbed gut than completely bonk during a race. So, mission accomplished. I didn't bonk during this training. I was able to sustain a fairly high level of output, and the run felt great. Now, here's what I'm going to do to potentially improve it, or really not change it and allow my body a chance to acclimate. When you first start using a new nutrition strategy, you'll probably find that these same symptoms come up. And especially like if you're brand new to endurance sport, you might even find that your body doesn't tolerate any type of nutrition while you're working out. Taking GUs while you're working out might make you have to use the bathroom, make your stomach hurt, cause you to just feel like you have something moving around in your stomach when that's super uncomfortable. So things that you want to avoid. Over time of using these strategies in your training, your body will get more efficient at burning calories and processing nutrition while you're training. So you'll see a lot of pros out there that can eat and digest a crazy amount of food while putting out like a serious effort, especially on the bike. So the bike is really where I want to be able to increase my ability to digest and process this nutrition. So even though I didn't feel that good this past Saturday with this new nutrition strategy, I do plan on doing pretty much the exact same thing this weekend, to once again put my body through it and see if it improves. And if after, not this weekend, but the next weekend, so the third weekend trying this in a row, after trying it for 3 times in a row, if it still really isn't sitting well and isn't showing any sign of improvement, then I'll probably try to change up the strategy a little bit. And the change would be to dial it back maybe to a GU every 35 minutes rather than every 30 minutes, because 40 minutes works fine for me. So this is the type of play that you need to find in dialing in your own personal strategy, because if you look at the packet, it'll say, 1 every 45. The bottles of, nutrition might say, whatever interval they recommend that you take it and however much. But you'll see everybody out there in the field doing pretty much their own thing. And that's because everybody's body is different. And the important fact here is that you need to build up your ability to, digest nutrition while you're going, because that's a non-negotiable. You also need to just have a strategy to begin with. And so if you're a beginner and you don't have a strategy, I would urge you to develop a strategy. You can base it off mine. You can make your own. You can find a pro that you like and base it off them, whatever you want. But create a nutrition strategy and test it out in your training, because the last thing you want to do is test out a nutrition strategy on race day. And because if you test a nutrition strategy out on race day, you're just inviting trouble. There are people out there who, and I guess it's like a fairly common thing, I think it's crazy, but there are people out there who choose race day to, like, they've been training in this certain condition, this certain way for the whole training season, and then come race day, they're like, change 5 different things about whether it's their gear setup, their nutrition strategy, the type of fuel that they're taking in. And that's anxiety. That would produce anxiety in me like nothing else, because then you're spending the whole day not even knowing if this nutrition or this piece of gear or this modification to your bike or your setup or whatever works for you and will last you through the whole race. So don't do that. Train as close to your race day conditions as possible and build your nutrition strategy. Get it in a way where you write it down, practice it during your training. It can get expensive because you're buying these supplements and stuff like for quite a while if you're training for an Ironman, but the investment is well worth not having a GI issue or an energy issue while you're out on the race. So take that as you will, and let me know what you think. Let me know how it works for you, and I'll challenge you to play around with your own strategy if you have a strategy, and see if you can improve it, knowing that what we're doing is we're progressing towards higher levels of effort the longer we spend time in this sport. So let me know what you think. If you like this, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.